you're never going to get anywhere if you don't shoot your shot. So it's like, just go for it. You get shut down.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Who said that?
Michael Scott, quoting Wayne Gretzky.
Welcome to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast, hashtag the network. This is episode 9, brought to you by Falcon Carpet. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Michigan Real Estate Investor Network Roundtable podcast, hashtag the network. Today I am your host, Dylan Tanaka, your favorite real estate investor here in Metro Detroit, and I am excited to bring you 3 young dudes who are out here making it happen and doing real estate investing at a very, very young age. So I met these guys and I said right away, I want to get them on the podcast and get them on the show to see what inspired them to get involved in real estate at such a young age. So I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Matt.
I'm Zach.
I'm Adam.
See, the younger they are, the less they talk. So anyways, yeah, so these guys are in a company together. And what's the name of your guys' company again?
Safe Night Solutions.
Cool. So Safe Night Solutions. And you guys are all pretty much recently out of college, right? Just graduated.
Yep.
You guys decided to get into real estate investing. So, the first thing we like to talk about is this is a community and people get to learn from each other. And the more that you spend time with other people, it just we talk about like being able to stand on the shoulders of giants. So you guys are going to be an inspiration, and you'll even be able to teach people some of the mistakes you've made early on in your real estate investing business. But why don't you guys just go around the table and just kind of let everybody know a couple minutes about yourself and kind of how you got here today?
All right. Well, my name's Matt. I went to Central Michigan University. Didn't really have any ambitions to get into real estate. I actually graduated with an engineering technology major. It was only through pretty much Zach and Adam, who are the ones that introduced me to it. I lived with Adam for 3 out of my 4 years at college, and probably about 2 or 3 years into school, he started formulating the idea with Zach, which for those of you that don't know, we actually all went to the same high school together too, so that's how we all know each other. And from there we just started talking about it more and more. Zach was the one that was big into reading books and researching it, and we liked the idea and just got the idea of getting a place, living together, and trying it out. And that's what we're doing now.
Cool. So where did you guys all grow up?
We're all from Bad Axe, Michigan, up in the thumb.
Okay. So for the nationwide viewers, explain to them, show them the palm, because they all laugh when I do this, and show them where you guys are from.
So here's the map of Michigan. We're all up in the thumb.
Yeah.
And show them where Detroit kind of is, so they can get an idea.
Down here.
Perfect. So did you guys now buy a house together and you're house hacking basically?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very, very cool. So why don't you explain what house hacking is, Zach, and say hi to everybody also that's watching.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zach, also from Bad Axe, Michigan, part of Safe Night Solutions with these guys. So house hacking, the more traditional way is you get a multifamily property and you live in one side and rent out the other side to someone else. We're doing more so a live-in flip scenario. It's just the 3 of us living in one house, splitting all the expenses, fixing it up while we're living in it. And then once we've lived in it for a year or so, we'll transfer it into the business as either a rental, or we can just sell it and then move on from there with the proceeds.
Cool. So how did you guys find this house?
It was just an MLS deal.
Okay. And you guys is one of you licensed, or are you using a specific agent? You don't have to name them, but
I went through an agent that
Okay.
I had met via networking with a mortgage banker.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Lee was pretty good deal for you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lee Ehlers was a pretty good resource for us. I don't know if anyone knows him, but great agent.
We'll get his he, right?
Yep.
We'll get his information down in the show notes so people can check him out. Adam?
I mean, similar backstory from Bad Axe, Michigan. in the business. I am the CFO, but my dad is also a part of the business. What it kind of started as, what Matt was saying, was mainly Zach and I formulated the idea roughly 2-3 years ago. But even before that, my dad had always been doing research on it for probably 5 to 7 years. He really wanted to go down south, obviously, do something more like that, which is obviously still a goal of ours because he still wants to move down to South Carolina, Florida,
Sure.
and those areas and get into a rental market like that with short-term vacation rentals. So we had talked about it for 7 months, roughly, him and myself, and I went through. I remember I created my own website for it too and everything. We had it all set up, and then Zach and I met, obviously going to different colleges. We only saw each other maybe like once or twice a year at that point. And he asked, what do you like doing? What's on the side? What are you liking? I'm like, oh, I like real estate investing, things like that. And then from there, it just kind of hit off, and, we grabbed Matt and our other partner, Mason, too, along the way. And we all work really well together. So figured it'd be a perfect fit for us.
Yeah, my story of actually getting started is the pretty canonical example of just reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. It really, as typical as it really is a game changer just to kind of get your mindset shifted.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all went to college, so I'm assuming you're somewhat decent students at least, and the way that we're brought up,
Not at all.
yeah, you go to getting good grades at least, or passing tests, right? But the way that Americans, the way that we think is you have to go to school, you got to get a degree, get a good job. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. I push every young person to go and get that education, because being an entrepreneur, owning your own business isn't the life for everybody necessarily. But when you read that book, it's a mindset shift. Even though it's more of a story than the truth, but it doesn't matter. It's a parable, right? So it kind of gets you going to where that you want to go. And you guys are young, so a lot of the folks watching and listening to this, they're getting started in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and there's never a bad time to get started, because, as I say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now, right? So in your short journey so far, what would you guys say is probably the best advice you could give to someone out there, be it in their young 20s here or in their 50s, like getting started? What's the best advice that you guys could give separately?
I think at the very beginning, just absorb as much information as you can. You don't want to, a lot of people say you just got to dive right in. And that's true to a point, but you got to have the background, get a frame of mindset for what you need to do, because otherwise you're going to dive right in and you're going to get burned.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. Kind of building off of that. At the same time, it can be intimidating to try to dive in and approach certain situations, but at the same time, eventually you got to put yourself out there. You got to take the risk. You got to start making phone calls. You got to make a plan of action, and just, I don't know, you got to go for it eventually. And,
that's what we were saying on the way here. It's just you just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's once you know what you have to do, nothing's going to get done until you actually sit down. It's we did research for years, 2 to 3 years of reading and videos, and
which is 10%
lectures.
of your guys' life.
Yeah. It's
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. It's
so that's a lot of research.
Yeah. And then, even going through college, be more videos and just, oh, this new article came out. Let's look at this. There's, software, Excel, everything, just learning everything on the side. I even took was it my junior year or senior year? I took a real estate class that was taught by some guy that just did it in his spare time. He was from Grand Rapids. He owned a brokerage firm over there, and he was talking about, he was 35 years old, but he was, already setting up a bunch of townhouses over in Ada, Michigan. And he's like, yeah. It's one of the biggest things that he gave to us is advice, which kind of coincides with the advice here, is having a good team. Because I know in college, we all hated group work and just working with people. It was so annoying. But it's okay, we actually know our team members really well. We've been friends since, first, second grade. So it's well, we all work great together. So,
and it's easy to trust somebody that you've known that long.
Yeah.
I could see where if you just met somebody maybe a year ago and you don't know if they're really all about it or all in, but it makes it easy doing it with your friends, because then you enjoy being around them, and then it's easy to work with them and communicate and stuff like that.
Yeah, you really have to get comfortable with leveraging other people's talents.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, just knowing each other so much better. It's like if I know Matt or Zach or Mason, my dad, or anyone, they're having trouble on something. It's like, okay, I can easily see, with a stranger, I can't tell if they're struggling or something.
Sure.
But with a friend or just someone that you've been with, my dad, obviously, I know him really well. I should. So it's like, yep, he doesn't know what he's doing or he needs help on something. So I can assist him along the way.
You're like, reset your password, old man.
Yeah. Well, he.
Most of the time, it actually is.
Yeah,
that's like the only thing I'll struggle with is tech stuff.
Oh yeah, he was just complaining about something. He's like, oh, I got to put in a password. It's like, yeah, it says right there, your Gmail password. Oh, all right, I'll go ahead and put that in.
It's like, what does it mean, case sensitive? Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's DAD 1234. Come on. No, I think that's great. Great wisdom to take from some young guys here is if you're just getting started, come together with people that you know and you like and that you trust. Leverage each other's talents. I think your generation is a lot different than mine and a lot different than the ones above me, like your grandparents' age, because I'm almost old enough to be your guy's dad. And I'm not joking when I say that, but the mindset's so different because being in the Midwest too, and you guys are from, I would say slightly up north, not like up north to Michigan people, but to Detroit people, you're from up north. So you guys are doers, you guys are workers. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty a little bit. You're not prissy like we are from down here. And I think it's important to know like what you're good at and leverage your talents versus like trying to do everything. So for me, if I'm, I can't go out and I can't lick stamps, right, and send mail out and then go on trying to buy houses, then trying to sell houses and trying to fix houses and trying to man contractors and trying to run real estate groups and trying to run podcasts. You kind of have to find your lane, right, and try to excel. And I think that's great that you guys have such a big team, especially in the beginning, because you can count on each other. And then even if you do have a setback, because you're going to have them. I mean, I've lost money on deals before. Hopefully it's a lot less. And those are learning experiences. And you don't just have to go to I think education's good. And I'm talking about outside of, college, but with the different real estate groups that are out there, the education, you can spend $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on real estate education for investing. It's silly, right? But if you guys do some deals, you don't do super well on them, but you actually learn how the world works. You can go to school, but learning from experience trumps, school by, 1,000,000% in the real world, especially in business. So, what's each of your positions? So you're CFO, Adam, right?
Yeah. But okay. I mean, there's a couple other things, obviously there's, 30 things that you have to do.
Sure.
So,
you help people with their logins too, which is not the CFO's job typically.
Yeah. Like another thing we're doing right now, our fourth guy who's still in college, he's going to be like our chief marketing officer.
Cool.
So last night we were just talking about one of the things we want to do is a blog and everything like that. So
well, you could do it right now.
Well, I mean, we are, but that's
you guys can get started this minute right now. Get on Medium. Start blogging this episode. I'm kidding.
Bye, Dylan. We're gonna get out of here and do that.
No,
right now.
do it at the same time.
No, it's like
I'm with you.
So I have one written already, and he just pitched me an idea last night. It's like, okay, and pretty much like what you're doing with the all pre-recorded and then blowing them out. So it's like, once everything's primed, it's like, well, we'll have the next 10 weeks planned out.
Right.
So, but other than that, it's kind of, the marketing, advertising, things like that, and then market analysis, basic things like that.
Yeah, pretty important.
All right, so I'm chief information officer, so I should probably be the one helping his dad with the login.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of sort of anything that has to do with data, record keeping, as well as just the technology aspect of everything.
So you're the best like computer geek out of the group?
We all know technology. It's just kind of you have to have someone that's responsible for it.
Right.
And I like numbers. I like sifting through all the data and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like we were talking about before the show started, writing down things in notebooks, driving around, doing like driving for dollars. And now look at all the technology that's out there. You guys probably know a bunch of the apps and like everything's so scalable. I talk about this all the time. I'm a member of this investor fuel group. It's a nationwide mastermind. So I'm in there with about 200 other investors and I'm one of the low men on the totem pole, which is great because again, it's like I do this thing and people laugh at me, but you got to bring the people up who are below you, right, in business and help them. But then on the other hand, I get to go this way too. So the scalability and what you can do today because of computers, technology, the internet, it's so much different than it used to be. And I mean, you guys can be in in 5 different locations in college, and you guys can look at wholesale deals or whatever on the computer. You can send somebody on Craigslist for $20 to go take pictures and verify it's not falling down. You can buy that house without seeing it. I wouldn't advise that on your first deal, but I mean, that's the mindset like that you guys have. I'm very good friends with a guy named Greg Helbeck. He's 24 years old. He's from New York. He moved to California, single guy, making money, can do whatever he wants, but he does most of his investing in Texas. So tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't, but he's really good dealing with sellers. So he pinpoints specific types of sellers. He works them over the phone. He sends his boots on the ground partner in there, and they're flipping houses in Texas that he never sees. But again, 15 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, if you would have told me that, I have friends that have done business out of state. You know, you can buy a vacation rental again in the Carolinas or in Florida or whatever. And VRBO has been around for a long, long time, probably 10 years at least that I've known about it. But there's guys now who are setting up their business virtual, which is pretty amazing. So I don't know if you guys ever have any thoughts of doing something like that. But again, you know, from your youth standpoint, like, you guys probably aren't afraid to do that. Where, again, like, you get to my generation, you get to the one above, and they're like, how are you flipping houses in Missouri? What are you talking about? You've never seen it before, and you're like, figured it out, you know?
Right. Personally, our sort of business model isn't just kind of go out silently flip houses. We want to build a brand that people can recognize as a company that's providing safe houses to people.
Sure.
We really want to be involved in the community.
Yeah. And it's more too than just, you know, housing. It's local, you know, commercial spaces that need, you know, some work. You know, obviously, you know, everyone has ideas. It's like, pitch them to us. It might work, might not. There's no harm in doing it. You know, it's like,
great.
You're never going to get anywhere if you don't shoot your shot. So it's like, just go for it. You get shut down.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Who said that?
Michael Scott, quoting Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
I thought it was Michael Jordan.
Listen, there's 2 things that I geek out on. Number 1 is Star Wars, because like I was old enough to go to the movies for the actual first one. And number 2, I hate to tell you this, but I watch The Office like every night before I go to bed, because I'm like, that last like half hour when I'm done with podcasts and whatever, all the crazy stuff I do, I'm like, I need a little relief. And there's nothing better than watching like Jim pretend to be Dwight and like doing the thing on his watch. It's like, I just laugh every time. Like, you need some comic relief. So I'm glad you guys like that show. That's pretty funny.
Right.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, I've seen it probably 3 times through, but I think all 3 times were watched with my girlfriend. So
yeah,
I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, I don't like this show.
Listen, we can talk about that part later, right? Business first. But no, I think that's cool. You guys talk about the community. I'm personally involved in a nonprofit organization called Winning Futures. You guys probably haven't heard of it because you're not from down here, but there was an entrepreneur about actually 20 years ago. It was founded, and he took a couple high school students and mentored them, and he owned a car dealership and a few other things. He was completely self-made, came from just a normal, regular family, and unfortunately passed away about 5 years ago. But we are in, I don't know how many now, probably over 20 schools. So every year, you guys are younger than some of my students were. So every year, if I was in Bad Acts with you guys, if you were in a business class as an elective, I would come in. You guys have to, like, why is that funny?
We didn't have anything like that. We graduated with like 84 kids.
Well, yeah, you didn't need that because you guys are all come from good families. But no, so this isn't like Big Brothers Big Sisters. So it's like a goal setting mentoring program. So I would come in, I would get you 3 guys in, you know, your marketing class. So every Tuesday from 9 to 10, we have a curriculum. It's all state endorsed, all that kind of stuff. And then we would just kind of go through how to do job interviews, you know, how to write thank you notes, the difference between whatever, like just what different things mean, and how to like use that as you go on to the next part of your life. So I've been involved with them for 10 years, and I think it's super important, even at your young age. Like, I spend an hour a week with these kids, and I have kids now who are 28 because they were 18 10 years ago, right? And I get Facebook messages. Some of them are involved in our group even, and have been involved in real estate with me, which is really cool. I've hired some of them as interns and that kind of thing. And whenever I would get selfish or get irritated about something or have to miss something because I'd have to go to class, because it's every week from about the second month of school in through the last. So it's like, say, October through April or something like that. It's an hour a week. And then 8 years later, I get a text or I get a Facebook message from a guy that say, hey, you really inspired me to do this, this, and this, and I appreciate it. Because a lot of times as an 18-year-old, which you guys are long past that, but just think when you're 17, 18, it's kind of hard sometimes to like verbalize that stuff, right? Because you're still like super screwed up in your head because you're like a teenager and figuring life out.
Hormones.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I think it's awesome that you guys think about that. And for sure, like I would definitely encourage, figure out what you like, where your natural ability is and your unique ability and how you can kind of give back with that. Maybe you guys already have that, but like for me, I was kind of searching and I didn't know. And then I got hooked in with like high school seniors and like I kind of get to yell at them, but I also say, hey, listen, here's what you can do. You still got to go to school, you know, because everybody wants to be a video game designer and like a pro basketball player or whatever. But like
Astronaut.
an astronaut. You have to be somewhat realistic, and I never want to like pull their goals back at all. But it's very cool to be involved with that because I get a ton out of it also. Even though I'm supposed to be the mentor and the teacher, I still get a ton out of it because it's like what I'm telling them, I'm hearing myself also, you know? So
one of the best ways to learn is by teaching.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably really nice for a lot of those kids too, because I mean, I know at that age, I wanted to do one thing, but 2 years later, well, that dream's completely out of the picture. So it's like, okay, like, hey, I've gone through, I kind of know what your mindset is right now. You're a little confused. You don't know what you're doing with your, especially it's like, oh yeah, you're going to go to college. No more parents. Like
you don't really know what to expect or what you're going to be doing, or if you're going to like what you think you're going to be in college or whatever, or high school going into college. So
yeah, you never know. I mean, for me, so I started screwing around with real estate basically when I was your guys' age. And it wasn't until 25, 26, 27 until I got really serious to where I was doing multiple deals a year and I had lenders and backers and I was like flipping and like I was in the game. I never thought I'd be there. And then probably 2 or 3 years, within the first 3 years when I was truly full time, I'd flipped 100 houses. And you know what I mean? How would you ever think that? Like you guys sitting here, you've done a couple few deals or whatever, and you're like, to get to 100. Now I'm like, I don't even count them anymore. And then I remember I was sitting at lunch with a guy I knew and we just run into each other. And he's like, yeah, I'm tearing the top off of houses now, like a ranch, and I'm adding square footage. So like, again, in your Ferndales, your Berkeleys, your Royal Oak, Birmingham, this is back when the foreclosure boom kind of changed and it went back, as I call it, the foreclosure bounce, and things kind of turned around. So I was like, wow, I'm like, that's serious because you got to have like an architect and pull permits, and not just permits, but a furnace in, but like this is serious business. Guess what I was doing the next year? The same exact thing, because that's where the market took me. And then by the following year, I was tearing down and building new, had a builder's license, and like at 30, I never thought at 35 or whatever, 5 years later, that would be the case. Because A, the market takes you one place, and then B, kind of whatever your risk level is or whatever you gravitate towards. Like for me, it was rehabbing giant rehabs because I really like the finishes and getting people emotionally involved so they pay more than they should for a really, really nice house. And now it's like shifted again. So I have a new construction project I'm doing out in Romeo. I don't know if you guys know where that's at. It's like 30 Mile and Van Dyke, kind of like where we're at now, but a long ways out from Detroit in the regular suburbs. But I'm also wholesaling like as kind of my main function. And that's what I love to do. I like finding deals because you guys are early 20s. Let's just say you're going to be around for a while, right? In real estate. So you're going to be buying and selling real estate for 40 or 50 years, even if you stay, in your career for whatever you guys graduated for, and even if you do it on the side. So I have 3 plus Mason, dad, whoever, uncles. I just gained 10 possible wholesale buyers for the rest of my life, or partners, or somebody I can do things with. So I like focusing on this end of it for me because I'm a relationship guy. So there's people I've been dealing with for almost 20 years, delivering houses to, partnering with, whatever it is, borrowing money, lending money, and it just goes on forever. And like, to me, it's awesome that you guys went out, would be on the show today, even because a lot of times with the younger, crowd, they're nervous about this stuff. And like I was saying earlier before we started, like belly to belly, right? Talking to each other. This is how you become friends. This is how you like get to know each other. So if I see you guys at Home Depot or at a real estate group, you're like, hey, and now like there's a way different bond built than like after this, like I'm going to friend all you guys, right? And you're like, yeah, we can make funny comments or put like Dwight Schrute on your guys' page or whatever, right? With your face.
But nothing's like what it actually is in person.
Nothing, and like nothing against millennials, but like even again, starting with your guys, parents' age or grandparents' age, we lose that because the world just moves too quick. I mean, the last house you guys bought, you did it over email, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like that's weird to me, which I do the same thing now. But 10 years ago, you went to a closing, all the guys come, right, and all the partners, everyone's gonna take the half a day off work, and it's like this big thing. Now you're like,
It's like a Super Bowl party.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
exactly, without the beer and chips. So then, bam, you guys are doing it out over the internet, and like it's just everything moves so quickly. And this, like we talked about too earlier, like this is an old school business. Because it is nuts and bolts, it is boots on the ground. So it's really, great that you guys are, kind of a little bit old school yourselves. Like I said, when you come from, which way am I pointing the camera? Up here instead of down here, you have a little different mindset and just different attitude, I think. And, maybe you can take one more breath, look somebody in the eyes and say hi versus just like wham, slamming past them, as you're leaving a store or something.
That's one thing that we kind of notice here because, everyone waves to each other. Everyone's always talking to each other back home. And here it's like someone says like even excuse me in a grocery store.
Right.
It's like,
oh my gosh,
someone's actually taking notice of me.
Talk.
But no, back to the old school ways. One of the biggest things just in the last week alone, what I've realized is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
How useful that is because last night my dad just texted me, told me our neighbor up where we live wants to invest in us. Another family friend of ours heard about it through my dad talking about it, and I had a meeting.
He should
with them.
be the CMO because your dad's got a big mouth and people trust him. Obviously,
well, it's hilarious because I gave him when he visited the one time. I gave him 100 business cards to take home. And he's like, "Oh, I'll pass them out to people." Well, he's got a picture of the business card on the fridge hanging up to show people, and there's business cards like 20 feet away. And I'm like, why don't you just hang the business card up there? He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to give them all away.
What business is or was your dad in?
He's going back to school right now to get his double masters.
Beautiful.
So he can, hopefully he wants to transition to something in the far future. But right now he is like VP of executive sales and manufacturing for a really big manufacturing,
Gotcha,
like plastic company back home.
Cool.
So,
so he understands this, obviously the sales side of it and relationship building and all that stuff. So
he travels a lot for work. So he's always dealing with people. And
Yeah.
I get if I hear him talking in public or just see him, like he just grabs a room. It's like, okay, well, that translates to if you're meeting investors, because I noticed when I was talking to our family friends that we had a meeting with the other night, Dad just kind of off to the side and would yeah, that's a great idea. Put in his 2 cents, but it would somehow, push the conversation.
Sure.
So
softening statements.
Yeah.
Listen, and what you guys talked about with your blog, if there's any advice I can give to young guys, I'm a marketing guy. Like that's what I love. So that's all if that's all I could do, if I was smart enough to start a digital marketing agency, I would do it. But unfortunately, I'm good at flipping houses. So, the whole story, Gary V, and documenting what you do. But even like with your blog, like get enough pre-written, but then just write and it'll just start to flow. And like I said, so you guys, we were joking about like Snapchat and Musical.ly and TikTok or whatever. The people who will invest in you, me, they're not on there.
No.
They're old school. You can literally I've taught people, create a newsletter for your company without calling it a newsletter. Just write a letter. Tell them what's going on. So format a newsletter, right? Or just look at one. But then just write it out as normal paragraphs, and don't be braggy or anything like that. But just be like, "Hey, we're excited. We did our first rental. We were able to get it filled. We hit some challenges. They want to know that, right? Mm-hmm. How'd you overcome your challenges? Because it's not. It's never when it's easy. It's only when it's hard that it counts, right? Because everything's always simple when it's easy, But when it's tough, is when you got to show your perseverance. So, you can do stuff like that, and especially where you guys come from. They're a little bit more laid back. So you use that to your advantage to where they'll actually read what you send them. Yeah. And when you start writing your blog, document what you guys are doing. Take the process of getting that rental house ready. And I know that you'll do more, but record and do more than you think you should do, because people will watch it. I know a few guys, and they're from maybe Maryland. Doesn't matter. But they started kind of like they started an investment, almost like a fund, but it's not. It's just totally private, and none of them had any type of public persona at all. So they started just doing YouTube videos. They were good YouTube videos. They weren't just junk. And he just kept putting them on, and just telling the story about what he was doing. And I mean, they have a ton of investors now because of it. You know, one of the guy, he was an Army Ranger. He's a veteran, you know. So, and these guys are like my age. The other one's a finance guy, and the other one is like a marketing guy or whatever. So they're very believable, very trustworthy. Again, you know, getting involved, like you said, in the community, whatever that thing is. Like, people want to know that you care, because nobody cares what you make. Like, the wealthiest guys that I meet tell me about the guys that they meet that would go like this, right? And like, you're nothing. So you always have to have that mindset. Like, we're always going to be the smallest fish, and that's the goal, right? To always be in the bigger pond. But I think that it's really important to get that out there, so that the people who are, you don't know that they're following you. I have an old blog that's black with white writing. You're not even supposed to do that, right? Unless you're like artistic. So there will be people still to this day. I haven't touched it since, I don't know, 2009. And they're like, you made a prediction Donald Trump was going to be president in 2009 or 11 or whatever. And it's on this old blog that I read of yours. And I'm like, why were you reading that? And they're like, I read the whole thing. I'm just like, wow, why? Because you never know. You know what I mean? And it's not like they're vetting you. They just they just like you, and they fall into what you guys are doing. And you got to give them as much, you know, to consume. And it's nice when you teach, when you can talk about what you've done, not just theory, because you can go on Bigger Pockets or whatever it is, and you can spit out like, hey, here's how you get a renter, or here's how you know deal with tenants or whatever it is. But until you've been through it, you know, and you have some scars and can tell those stories, you know, it's not as believable. But I would definitely start documenting as much as you guys can, more than you think, because our boring lives doing houses is so exciting to some people, because HGTV has done it for us. You know, as annoying as it is, like, to me, it's super annoying because it's totally unreal, totally. And I've met some of the people on those shows, and they're like, you know, basically it's staged and whatever. I don't care. It's entertainment because it's not real. But the point is, America loves house flipping. Yeah. So give it to them, you know, and you guys are like normal too. So it's not like you're not all fake and like making a mohawk and be like, yeah, we're crazy house flipper guys. You're like, we're kind of from a small town, and like, here's our story, and we all came together. Like, you have to use that romance, you know what I mean, when you sell that. You know, and you got dad involved, and he's getting investors possibly from up north. And it might not be for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. But in 10 years, you guys are going to need $2 million, bam, because there's going to be a building that you find or whatever. And you have to build that slowly, you know what I mean, and grow that super duper organically. And then you're unstoppable, because there's people 10 and 20 years older than me that don't have any investors and can't get any private lenders because it's here, because they never built it. You know what I mean? They didn't believe it. And there's people out there. I mean, there's tons of money out there, and people love real estate.
Yeah, I mean, one big thing that I've caught just talking with, you know, some of the people that want to invest in us, they immediately seem like they're so impressed by what we have. And it's like, it's a rough draft of everything right now. And it's like,
it's always a rough draft until we, you know, actually do it, right?
And it's like, okay,
I love that.
Like, here are our all the calculators we have. Here's, you know, 3D renderings that we've made of the place fixed up. Here's, you know, some other ideas that we want to do. And it's like, yeah, it's, you know, we know what we have to do. We know the direct line to it, but it's like we haven't even started yet, but these people love it. And it's like, okay, well, you know, if we can really show them, you know, this is true, like, and actually provide them results too, along with, you know, the cool ideas that we have.
Of course.
And it's just, you know, it's going to turn in that old, like, yeah, they're great. It's a good, reliable investment that we can make too.
Yeah, one thing that we really want to make a big part of our website is documenting all of the deals we do, things that we learn along the way. Because those are the things that really help you grow, is the things that you learn, the things you weren't expecting that you have to go back and reflect on. And
right.
That's what people are after anyway, is they want to know, like, what they need to look out for.
Yeah, they don't want the, you know, busted, you know, mold in the walls. They don't want, you know, the floor to be ruined. They just want to know what it's like.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, it happened to us. It sucks. This is what you got to do to fix it. And then all they care is, yep, that's good information. And then,
and that you delivered on it and you got it done.
And it adds credibility to us, basically. It's being able to show them, like, look at what we had to overcome. Look at what we did.
Yeah.
Still came out on top, or
not all gold toilets.
No, listen, it's not the home runs, because it's easy to hit a home run if you're good at hitting home runs. It's how do you beat out, you know, a crappy, like, almost foul ball to first base. It's by putting your head down and running as hard as you can, you know, fast and harder than the third baseman picking the ball up and throwing it to first. I don't know if you guys know baseball, but the new generation doesn't. But Matt, so what's your What's your role?
I'm currently COO, Chief Operation Officer.
And what does that mean?
Basically coordinating, scheduling with contractors,
Okay.
getting projects done at the place and meeting with them. And right now, definitely trying to basically construct like an address book, people who to call, different contractors, who's good for this problem, things like that.
Sure. Yeah, it's always a challenge. We're I always say we're kind of diametrically opposed to good contractors because our goal is to rehab a house or to flip, even if you're keeping it, like flip it for another renter or whatever. We want to spend the least amount of money possible, right? To make our investment better. And they want to charge us the most possible, the good ones, because they need to make money. So you have to find those guys and gals who are willing to work with investors and understand what it means, so that at some point when you guys do have 50 units or whatever, which believe me, it's not that far away. We've got a guy in our group. He's 27 years old. He's on a 70 something deal, 27, 100% self-made. So it's very easy to do when you focus, and he's got a lot of lenders behind him, that kind of thing. But my point is, he's in the mix right now, and he's doing a lot of rehabs. He's doing a lot of buy and holds. He's just doing a lot of business. So he's got everybody. He's got a guy that digs holes to do this, and like to get a mini excavator. That's not easy down here right now because people are busy. So like where you guys are at, they're like, yeah, you can borrow my uncle's or something because you guys have machines out there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can't get a Bobcat down here like tomorrow. You're just not going to get it. You know what I mean? Unless you overpay. I mean, you can rent one, but what I'm saying is, like, if you need to like dig out a quick foundation type thing or waterproof like a bad basement, like that's got to get set up. Mm-hmm. So you've got to have those people who understand what we do, and you need to learn how to work with them. But yeah, so that's really cool that you guys have that, have those different roles identified. And I think even it being young in your business, not just an age, you guys kind of see where some of the hangups would be. So you want to kind of preempt that, right? Especially with like what you're working on right now, building a Rolodex.
Definitely trying to build it up right now and just work with as many people as we can, and just kind of know who was good to work with, who was bad, who didn't show up, who, you name it.
Right.
Just building that up and saving that information for later when new problems come up or whatever.
Yeah, you'll never stop building that. Believe me. Take it from me. I'm still building it. But what's your guys like? I don't like to do like 7 and 30-day goals because it's too short. But like, what's your guys? I would say like 90-day goal. Until like the holidays, and then maybe like, what's your 1-year goal by the end of next summer? What are you guys trying to achieve, you think, as a business, or even personally, if you want to bring something up?
Right. So sort of our long-term vision is more so getting as many units as possible. The passive income.
Long-term hold, passive income.
That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to make money by not working.
Right.
We want to have as much of that coming in as possible. But we recognize that now what's holding us back is capital.
Yep. I knew you were going to say that.
And just deals. So what we need to do now is focus on generating the capital to feed on the long-term vision.
Sure. So over the next 90 days, like, what would you say the company's main goal is?
Probably get.
Did I say 30 or 90?
You said 90. I'd say probably do a flip or two.
Okay.
So that we can start to actually get some holdings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're finishing up on the one that we had done with you. We just got word on another one, waiting for that one to go through. And then, I mean, we kind of have like a list already. It's like, okay, and we've kept to it pretty much. It's like, okay, I think we said middle of September, let's get another house. Mm-hmm. And, 2 days before the middle of September.
I got the email right before the podcast.
I got one for you guys right now, too. I just didn't send it out yet.
Oh, okay.
All right.
No. Yeah, and, I just go back to my own story because it's the only one that I really know, but I was the same way. Like, I bought one house, and then it was going to be one house a year, keep my regular job. After 15 or 20 years, you'd have 20 properties, and a few years down the line, you start paying them all off, that kind of thing. And then by my third full year, I'd already done like 7 deals, and my goal was to do 3. So I doubled it. And then by my 4th year, then I was just off to the races. It was the foreclosure days, and I had a couple partners, but we were buying 50 to 70 houses a year, reselling them and like having tons of money flying around. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. But again, I didn't know I was going to be there. So hopefully 12 or 24 months from now, you guys are back on the show and you guys are hosting it and you can tell me how to do this stuff.
Well, we noticed that Because when we first started, we're like, okay, here's how much we're going to have in funding. And this was back when we, met in my basement back home.
Like a year ago.
Yeah,
Just
back
met
in
up. Yeah.
senior year. It's like, okay, we're going to meet and we're going to be able to get, 2 places the entire year, our first year. And we had our funding set, I think like probably 15, 20 times less than what we have right now through investors. And it's just like,
that's impressive, guys.
like, yeah.
We weren't expecting to take on investors until we had experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, if you can sell the vision, you sell yourself. People want to invest in it. They want to flock to you.
Well, in real estate, I don't want to say it's simple, but what I'm saying is almost everyone understands bricks and mortar, right? So if you say, hey, I'm going to buy a house for 30, I'm going to put 10 into it. It's going to appraise for 60, but we're not going to sell it. We're going to own it for X amount of time. Here's what my expenses are going to be. Here's what my CapEx is going to be for, repairs throughout the years, blah, blah, blah. After 7 years, it's paid off, even with private money or whatever it is. And they look at it and they go, okay, pretty simple. I get it. Like, maybe not everyone has changed a toilet, but everybody kind of understands like the process of that versus like we were talking about Elon Musk, right? And Tesla. Like, he's just a rock star and he just pulls dough in. Nobody knows what he's really doing, right?
Yeah.
But with us and with you guys, like, they get it. Like, they can go and punch the wall. You know what I mean? Like, it exists. It's real. It's not just theory. And then, 6, 7, 10 years down the line from now, if you guys do get into commercial or big stuff or development, whatever it is, those people have been riding with you for a long time. So I'm like, okay, what do you got? I mean, it's gotten to that point with me where, I push lenders away because I don't always have opportunity to take that capital on and do something with it enough that I can make money for them and me. And like, it's worth going through the motions, So what would you say, like, what's your guys' 12-month goal? I don't know if you want to say like how many properties or like, you got to put it out into the universe. Like, the 1 week goal is to get the blog going, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we got to get the website published first.
Just tell me what domain name you want and I'll buy it and send it to you
We already have our
guys.
domain. We just haven't actually published the website.
I think the goal with the website was actually get the house ready to rent.
I got you.
And-
Right.
and then-
right. You want a little
'cause-
something to
'cause-
feed on and like
because
that.
right now everything's just coming soon.
Sure.
Coming
Yeah.
soon. Besides, obviously with that, I'd say 12-month goal though. We just had a meeting a week ago, and I think we said probably in like 4 months we could probably be managing like 3 deals a month from then on out. So probably
Like
That's capacity to manage.
purchasing.
no. So that would. Well, yeah, kind of. But then we could probably cycle through 3 deals each month. Doesn't mean we're getting 3 deals a month,
Gotcha.
but
I'd be working on 3 projects at once.
yeah.
So let's say, September 1st of 2020. Yeah, 2020. Pretty crazy, right? You guys were born in like 2000. September 1st of 2020. We were stockpiling. We were talking about macaroni and cheese. We were stockpiling that macaroni and cheese when you guys were born because the robots were going to take over the year 2000, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so September 1st, 2020, what would you say, like, maybe your deal flow, where you're at that point? Like, what's the back of your baseball card as a company?
I'd say probably getting at least a deal a month at that point. So we're doing 12 deals a year.
I think
When at the beginning,
So,
we were
so you
thinking-
guys will have like 12 deals completed by the end of
Yeah.
by the end of this time
Yeah. It's going to be
next year.
Yeah, it's going to be case by case of like how many like holds that we actually have, because I know it's what Zach said earlier, we need that kind of upfront
Yeah, you got
capital
to
too.
flip to build
So,
some cash and
yeah.
capital. I get it.
But that's a thing that we've been working on. It's we look at a property and we're not gonna get it if we're not looking at it. It's like this is 100% a rental. It's like
Right.
okay, if we fix it up and it works as a fix and flip,
Mhm.
we can do that. If it can rent, we can do that. Or if it's an Airbnb or rental, anything like that, short term, we can do that.
Gotcha.
But I think probably end of first year was something like 7 to 10 holds and probably like 4 flips, maybe.
Okay.
Something like
You
that.
guys heard it here first. We're gonna have these gentlemen back on. We're gonna
holding
bring
us to it.
We'll bring Mason on. We'll get your dad in here. We'll get bleachers in here. Maybe we'll just do it at your high school gym. How much would it cost to rent that joint out for a Saturday to do a giant podcast?
$0 if you know
Probably
the
do it for
janitor.
free.
There we
Yeah.
go. Right.
Yeah.
We'll go up to Bad Axe and do
I was
something
about
on
to say,
site.
Yeah, we
The Bad
we
Axe
probably know all
folks.
the we know some of the janitors back at the old high school
I
still.
went to high school with one of them.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with
I was
that.
about to say. It's like, hey, let us in. We gotta get 500 people in the gym for a podcast going.
So since you guys are on the younger side of our members and visitors and watchers and viewers and all that, what would you, if there's like, is there a book or a podcast, or is there anyone that you guys, I want you guys to do it each separately, because I know you have different mindsets a little bit, in your own head. Who could you tell people to pay attention to, or a book to read, or an audible to listen to, or something that, where you're at right now, not what got you here, but like where you're at right now? Matt.
I guess I'll start. I know for me, excuse me.
You need more water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I know YouTube's like a pretty useful tool for me. I use it a lot in college to learn how to do like math stuff.
Write reports.
Exactly. I know one channel that has been pretty useful for me is Matt McKeever.
Yeah.
He's out of like Windsor.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
very cool. I don't know him.
Adam kind of introduced me to him like last year, and he was, I don't know how many subs he had at that time, but
We'll get that in the show notes for sure.
I think like probably 1,000, and now he's at
he's pretty big now. And
70,000.
When you say sub, what are you talking about?
Like a subscriber on YouTube.
Oh, subscriber. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
like a subreddit or something.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
like
whoa.
a subscription.
Gotcha. So he's at like 70,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
That's strong.
I think
so.
like last year or so he had like 100 different rental properties in like Windsor, Canada area.
And they just did an update video. I think he added like 60 in
He's
6
really like
months.
pumping out videos a lot now, and they're all very informative, like pretty much like walk you through a deal, like what's going through his mind, what to look out for and how to do it. And
Cool.
it's very useful. It's pretty easy it's entertaining. It's like 10, 15 minutes.
Gotcha.
You can actually,
Yeah, it's digestible.
Yeah.
and you can learn quite a bit just from doing that. So
I mean, it's quite a bit too,
Yeah.
because he did an apartment complex walkthrough, like a 9-part, and each video was like 30 minutes long.
Nice.
And he talked with the owner of the building, and he's like, "Tell me everything." And the guy
Right.
would go through it. And, he had a 10-minute, talk about
Sure.
how he would make money from the laundry.
Right.
He's like, "Oh, I just took all the laundry out, put them in here. Now I charge them with that." And he's like, "People
Right.
don't care." He's like, "They don't mind it."
Yeah, there's water conservation. I mean, with multis, we could talk about all that stuff another time, but yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff. So that's a great resource, because that's a new one for me. Zach, don't say rich dad, poor dad.
I'm gonna do something a little different.
I'm saying like, what are you taking in right now?
Right now, what I've noticed as I've gotten more information is that I started pretty general. It was stuff like Rich Dad Poor Dad, E-Myth. It's a sort of mindset.
Yep.
Doesn't really give you action steps.
Sure.
And now that I've learned more, I find myself gravitating towards very specific items. So say I want to hop on Amazon, get myself a book on SEO, search engine
Nice.
optimization.
Sure.
I can go find that. Or say I really want to learn about lease options. I Google lease options, dig into them. So it's not so much that I'm just absorbing information from someone that's just kind of like, hey, you can go do some stuff. It's someone that says, here, you can do this specifically.
So what one specific book or audio would you say somebody can pick up? Like what's on your Audible right now? What's on your playlist?
One thing that I've really been listening to lately is actually the Bigger Pockets Money podcast.
Okay.
It's specifically towards financial freedom,
Gotcha.
passive income. So they have the big one, that's
Sure.
just real estate investing in general. But this one's more specific. It digs into what you can do in your everyday life specifically to make a change towards your
Sure.
goals.
It's almost a little bit of that Dave Ramsey mindset type stuff too.
Mhm.
Okay, good. I got him to get specific on that. See that? I kept digging.
I'd say for me, my number one resource of why I have this type of entrepreneurial mindset is, I'd say, my dad.
Okay.
Mainly just because he's always been like, I don't need help, I can do it on my own.
So are we going to put his name and number in the show notes? Free mentoring.
Let's see if I had
I'll
to
give you his LinkedIn.
yeah.
Other YouTube channels that I've enjoyed, Graham Stephan,
Okay.
him too, he is absolutely blown up. I think he just hit 1 million, and I started following him 2.5 years ago. I think it's his second video ever. I watched that, and you get a better insight on because he does a lot of $450,000 duplex in LA.
Sure.
That's, absolute dump, and then he fixes up, and it's like, okay, if I know that, because that's a lot of the people that you find on YouTube and just reading around, a lot of them are in very high valuable markets.
Yes.
So it's like San Francisco, it's like nothing
Yeah.
like here.
Right.
Um,
Texas, Arizona, Frisco,
but it's
Vegas.
but it's like you listen to them, it's like, okay, they're making money on these deals, and it's just it makes no sense. It's like, okay, well, we have all the tools that they gave us, the resources. It's like, here, I have it all. We copied it, and it's like, yeah, this works perfectly in our area. Numbers are great. It's like, thank you for those free resources. And then it's just continuing. I don't want to say inspiration, but it's just like,
a little bit of little motivation type stuff in there. Yeah, it helps to mix it up, right?
Yeah.
One quick little piece of information I'd like to give, or piece of advice.
Please.
If you want to do something, find someone who's doing what you want to do, and learn from them.
Right.
Whether it be they're putting out information or anything like that. Like how I actually found Rich Dad Poor Dad was just this a fitness guru on YouTube and stuff. He would say, "Oh, I built a supplement company. I own a gym. I do all these sorts of things. I'm in magazines, all that." He said, "How I built everything was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was the mindset.
Yeah."
And then he started using those principles to build a fitness business, completely unrelated to real estate.
Sure.
But at the same time, all those sort of back end kind of workings are mindset, relationships, being able to brand yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think it's really even just like the real estate mindset. I think it's just a mindset of I don't want to
entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to necessarily do something for you when I can do it on my own. And
right.
It's like I know I have the tools and everything like that, which is, we're all, continuously self-educating. Like what Zach said, you'll find a book, like something. Just the other day, I found a software that I like. It's with 3D animation. I'm like, okay, well, with house renderings, we can do something like that.
Sure.
Might as well start trying to learn it.
Right.
No harm in trying it.
I think one thing is that when you're trying to learn, when you get this mindset of trying to better yourself, you find more things that interest you. You say you're trying to find A, and then you hear about B.
It's the rabbit hole.
Right.
Yeah.
You go down the rabbit hole, and you realize.
And then it's 3:30 in the morning, and you're like, "That's it. I'm flipping watches now."
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there's so much different things that you can learn.
Right.
So as soon as you get your mindset shift to opening up and finding new things is when you start to really learn. Because I think people talk about depth versus breadth as far as what you can do and learn.
What do you think?
I think you need both.
Yeah.
A lot of people say like your typical manager, they have breadth.
Right.
They're good at managing maybe managing people is their focus.
10% deep, 100 weight, 100 yards wide.
Right, but then you got Andy down the road is an HVAC specialist.
Right.
He does HVAC. He focuses on that.
He's 1 yard wide and 100 yards deep.
Right, but at the same time, you got your manager over at McDonald's. You got Andy, the HVAC guy. They're not building something big. You need a little bit of both. You need to be able to leverage other people's talents, like I said earlier, and you also need to be able to develop the vision and build something else.
Sure. Beautiful.
Yeah, if you're great at pitching your mindset, your idea to someone else and actually get them to see it, it's like, okay, that's 2 people that have my idea now. Then it's 3, then it's 10. Then it's 50.
That's the X factor. Yeah. And it helps if you've done what you're asking people to believe in and you believe in it yourself more than anything. Like you guys have grown up watching gurus on YouTube or whatever, and it's like, again, the 20-year-old kid, like I said, who is flipping watches and lives in LA and drives a Lamborghini now, like that's all rented. He probably didn't make that happen. But the guy who really is like showing you what it's like to have to dig out a main line and a plumbing, in a 10-minute video like you guys talked about, and he's telling you why this and this and whatever, how these things fit together. You just know, you can feel it, especially like I said, your generation, you can sniff that out more because it's more and more prevalent, right? Of just the internet all-stars.
Yeah.
So
when someone calls saying that your social security number has been suspended, it's probably a scam.
Yeah.
That's something we pick up on a lot quicker than your generation.
Sure. No, it's true. I mean, the DT and consumer scams, like you guys know down here, those are the power companies.
Yeah.
So I get I get emails and calls almost every day from DT and consumers, that my power's getting shut off. I'm not kidding, because I've had hundreds of properties in my name or my company's name. It's never true. Because I go right online and I'm like, did I forget to make a payment? Because you could probably not pay for 3 months and they'll keep it on. Like I usually figure out at least once every 90 days, I got to make a payment on something. Right. But yeah, it's just being aware and, and kind of taking it to the next level, as far as technology goes. So I think that's about it for today, guys. You guys have brought the thunder. It's really been awesome having you guys on the show.
Yeah, we really appreciate you having us.
Yeah. And any final words before we go?
learn and do it.
Yeah, just take action. I mean, nobody's gonna do it but you.
Yeah.
I mean, just add something to your week that you weren't doing last week each week, and just keep building it up.
Yeah. Get a good team. Make sure everyone works and, vibes together.
All right, everybody. Well, this has been another Michigan Real Estate Investor Network Roundtable podcast. And as always, we want you to share the love. You've been listening to the Michigan Real Estate Investor Network podcast. Just call it the network. To subscribe to the show, go to www.michiganreinetwork.com, where you can have the show sent right to your inbox. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to be on a future show, there's a link on the site to submit your info. The network is 100% focused on the Michigan real estate investing community. Whether you're brand new or a grizzled vet, we want you to be a part and share the love.